Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to my channel for the first video in a new series of videos titled Hot Toys Last to First. Basically what this is, and by no means is it a brand new concept, but it's ranking every single Hot Toys figure released in the year that the video is based off. This one is going to be 2020, we're going to go back and do 2019, and then for all future years, we'll be taking a look at the last to worst at the end of the year. I do want to say a huge thank you to Ryan from M&R Productions. He's actually a LEGO channel, but he does something very similar titled Worst to First. So I've kind of stolen the idea, and hopefully I've made it my own. Let me know if you have enjoyed the Worst to First video. Obviously, there are a lot of figures released each and every year. In fact, for the year of 2020, there were 47 figures released, if you do, of course, count the various 2-packs. Now, as I said, let me know if you want to see more of these videos, because I can definitely make them happen. The idea is, as I said, to do 2019 and then focus on future years at the end of the year, kind of like a nice wrap-up summary. Now, you will unfortunately already know my top 5 pick, because I have done the top 5 of 2020 list. However, if you do want to know where all of the other various figures that didn't quite make the cut ended up on the list, well then sit down, buckle up, and let's get started. Starting off with number 47, I'm sure to nobody's surprise whatsoever, is the Holographic Mark IV. My personal biggest disappointment of the year for a few key reasons, namely, it looked and felt really cheap in hand. A little bit of effort wouldn't have gone astray with this one, Hot Toys. At the very least, if you're doing it holographic, make it either light up over and above the normal one, add a few more LEDs in there, or make the translucent plastic a little bit more interesting. Coming in at number 46, we have the Reissued Whiplash. Not because it's a bad figure by any means, and you'll probably see a lot of these reissue type figures sitting a little bit lower on the list, just because I wanted to give a bit of a higher spot to newer release items and ones that are truly spectacular. Therefore, the Whiplash sits at number 46. As I said, not because it's bad, it's actually a really good update to a classic figure and gives people now an opportunity to go back and pick it up alongside the reissued Mark V, but it's a little bit more of the same, and to be honest, the changes aren't even all that drastic here. Next up, at number 45, we have the reissued Death Trooper. This one, once again, gave people an opportunity to go ahead and pick up a Death Trooper because they may have missed out or just straight up opted not to get them when Rogue One figures were coming out. Nevertheless, it's still a reissue of sorts. It is from the Mandalorian line, granted, and it is a fantastic figure in my personal opinion. It's got a really awesome shelf presence, and I have to say it's very, very imposing and also pretty darn fun to pose. But nevertheless, it's sitting at a lower spot just because we've kind of seen this figure previously. And coming in at number 44, we have both the regular Jet Trooper and the Sith Jet Trooper, both from The Rise of Skywalker, and for those of you in the know, these are actually the last First Order Stormtrooper style figures to be released by Hot Toys. Some will say good riddance, and some will be a little bit sad to not be seeing a whole bunch in the bargain basement pile, but nevertheless, they can't really pose, the designs are a little bit uninspired, the red one looks a little bit better granted, but honestly, I don't really see anyone online talking about these guys whatsoever, and trust me, in person, if you do have them, you're probably just gonna pop them at the back of your shelf. Sitting comfortably at number 43, once again, not because it's a bad figure, the Mark 47 is truly awesome, but it is a reissue, and pretty much nothing was changed here. Aside from a slightly lighter skin tone on the head sculpt, a little bit more of a punchier red, everything was identical. It's still a fantastic release, but we've seen it before. Great for people who missed out, but honestly, doesn't really deserve to be much higher on the list. This one kind of pains me to say, but coming in at number 42 is Boba Fett, and of course the reason for that is because Boba Fett is my personal favourite character in all of Star Wars, but it's another reissue type figure. Don't worry folks, we will be getting past the reissues in just a second, but as I said, they quite comfortably sit at the lower end of the list. Number one, because we've seen them before. Number two, because they don't really bring anything new to the table. Some subtle changes here and there, and by all means, Boba Fett is still a fantastic figure, but we've seen him before, especially in this variant. The packaging was slightly better, and you do get all of the deluxe accessories, but granted, we've still seen him before. Coming in at number 41, we have the 40th anniversary version of Darth Vader. Once again, he did get a nice updated package. A little bit smaller, a little bit more classic Kenner inspired, and I really did like it. But that wasn't enough to set him higher up the list. He's still a reissue, we've seen him before, and honestly one that I don't think people were really asking for. We'd only just gotten the regular Empire Strikes Back Darth Vader. Was it time to do a reissue? Well, clearly Hot Toys thought it was. Next up, we have the Infinity War version of Star-Lord, almost identical to the Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 version. Granted, it's still a really good figure and does bring some new accessories to the table, hence why he's sitting at number 40. He's almost a reissue, but throws in a couple of new accessories, which are rather fantastic. Also, the paint applications on the head sculpt are second to none. This might just be one of the strongest likenesses in 1/6 scale to Chris Pratt. But he's still almost identical to the Guardians 2 version. Coming in at number 39, we have the die-cast version of Midas. Now, when this came out, I wasn't entirely sure if I was going to like it, but I ended up really liking it, and I'm sure that's to nobody's surprise because it's literally a gold and rose gold chrome-esque paint job on the Mark 7 die-cast figure, which was by all means already a fantastic release. But it's literally just that, a gold Mark 7, therefore I couldn't really bring myself to put him any higher on the list. Coming in at number 38, we have Johnny Depp's character, Grindelwald, from the Fantastic Beasts film. Now, this figure is actually a fairly decent release, but unfortunately, it doesn't appear as if Hot Toys are going to continue the line, so we're going to be stuck with both Grindelwald here and Newt, which I'm pretty sure you'll see in just a second. It's sad because, as I said, they are really strong figures, but without the rest of the line, they're kind of just odd figures out on the shelf. By no means is that a bad thing, however, these two being the only figures I personally feel like, that makes them sit a little bit higher in the ranking. Therefore, at number 37, we have Newt. Another really good release, a bunch of accessories he does come with, but due to the lack of continued support for the line, I do think that these two figures from the Fantastic Beasts films sit about here on the list. Coming in at number 36, we have a figure that we've seen a couple of times before. We've seen the Futura Knight Batman with the red logo, we've seen the regular Arkham Knight Batman, and now we have the Prestige version of Arkham Knight Batman. The third time is the charm? I'm not entirely sure. He is sitting a little bit higher than some of the other reissues just because this was an actual skin that you can get in the game, therefore I think it makes him a little bit more relevant. But still, technically this is a reissue, a very good one, and a game-accurate one at that, but at the end of the day, we've seen this guy before. Coming in at number 35, we have the reissued but slightly modified version of the homemade suit Spidey from Spider-Man Far From Home. This guy is sitting higher than some of the other reissues because he adds toe articulation, he's got a pretty darn cool looking but not necessarily feeling display base, and you do also get the big honkin' Stark Tech drone. It's a really awesome package, and for those who missed out on the first version, this is a great opportunity to go ahead and pick up, pretty much as far as I'm aware, the most posable version of Spidey. Sitting comfortably at number 34, we have the Remnant Trooper from The Mandalorian. It takes the already fantastic Rogue One design for the Stormtrooper and gives it a dirtier paint job. I didn't really fall in love with it when I did the review because I do have that custom version, which I personally think looks a little bit better, but granted, now in hindsight I see the paint applications on this guy are far and away more accurate to the show. Coming in at number 33, we have the deluxe version of Han Solo from the film Solo. I personally really did like Alden Ehrenreich's performance as young Solo. Unfortunately, I don't think we're ever going to see him again unless he pops up in the Lando show, fingers crossed, but the way this guy's let down is like some of the other figures lower down on the list. He's not going to get a companion Chewbacca, and I don't think we're going to be getting a Lando either, unless we somehow get one from the Disney Plus show. Therefore, he's going to sit solo, pun intended, on the shelf. Next up, we have the Mud Trooper version of young Han Solo, but the reason he sits slightly higher than the regular version of Solo is that this guy can be just a regular Imperial Mud Trooper on the shelf. You don't have to have him with the Alden Ehrenreich head sculpt exposed. In fact, I personally do have it fully masked, so if you do want to add another trooper to your Imperial shelf, you don't actually have to have this guy displayed as Han Solo. I was quite tempted to put this Boba slightly higher on the list, but I thought I'd be doing some of the other figures an injustice, so I did stick him at 31. I love this figure, the classic Kenner-inspired look, the Kenner-inspired packaging, the fact that the instructions are a fold-out poster. This is pretty much just pure fan service for Star Wars figure collectors, and I love it. It's beautiful, it's striking, and it stands out on the shelf, but at the end of the day, it's just a repaint of a Boba Fett that we've gotten a few times before. Coming in at number 30, we have the Jawa and Gonk 2-pack. And wait, before you head down to the comments and let me know I'm insane that the Mark 47 is vastly superior, therefore deserves to be higher on the list, I agree with you, he definitely is, but I stuck to the mandate and put the reissued figures lower down on the list. The only reason these guys are slightly higher is for that very reason. Plus, we do get an all-new body style with the Jawa here. His robes, in my opinion, are more accurate to the film than the sideshow version. The accessories are fantastic. You do get two figures in one, including the Gonk droid, which is a fan-favorite droid from Star Wars. Even though the pack isn't flawless, the figures themselves, in my opinion, are pretty good. Taking the 29th and the 28th spot, because of course it's a full-blown 2-pack with two fully articulated figures, is the Wicket and Princess Leia 2-pack. Honestly, I love this set. The Leia is fantastic, her outfit is awesome, and the paint applications on the head sculpt are second to none. Plus, we're getting a 1/6 scale Wicket the Ewok. Whoever saw that coming? I know I personally didn't, but I'm really glad we got them because these two definitely look really awesome on the shelf. Sitting at number 27, we have the Incinerator Stormtrooper, a complete badass in the show and in figure format as well. He's got the flamethrower, the really awesome flame effect, and he is accurate to the show. It's a technically entirely new trooper. Granted, we do get a lot of troopers nowadays, but this is the Rogue One version with some added red, a pauldron, a flamethrower, and an absolutely stunning effect piece. Therefore, he sits a little bit higher. Next up, we have the barber version of Stan Lee, one of, in my personal opinion, Stan Lee's best cameo appearances, which also translates to a really good figure. The only annoying thing is that really weird 1-to-1 scale lock of hair, unless he just got done shaving Rapunzel's head. That's why it's so incredibly long. Nevertheless, the figure itself is really good, and for those of you out there who love putting Stan Lees throughout your MCU display, this, in my opinion, is a pretty good entry. Sitting at number 25, we have the Wasp. Now, technically, this is her outfit from Ant-Man and the Wasp, but she wore this in Endgame as well. Therefore, she can go in multiple places in your MCU display, making her a multi-purpose release, therefore a higher spot on the list. Plus, the suit is fantastic, it's eye-catching, the wings are huge but very functional, and that Evangeline Lilly head sculpt is second to none. The Wasp is, in my opinion, one of the better figures released in 2020. Sitting at number 24, well, literally sitting, is the DX Solo version of Darth Maul. I love this figure, it's no secret, he's a really good release. The robot legs are beautiful, yet very functional. Also, you do have that fantastic older Ray Park likeness for the head sculpt with the moving eye purse system. Overall, I really do like the Solo Maul. It's going to take a lot for that Clone Wars version to top it. Next up we have the video game Iron Spider. I am really impressed with this figure. It's very comic book inspired with the color scheme and of course the 3 legs, which isn't accurate to the game. Some people said that they went ahead and updated it so there were 3. They didn't change the number of legs, but they did change the design to be all gold like you see right here, but there were still 4. Nevertheless, this is a really striking figure in person, and the benefit of having those robotic arms is that you can still have him in a stoic museum pose, not damaging the suit, and let the arms do more of the posing. Coming in at number 22, we have the Hawkeye/Ronin Deluxe set, and if you're crazy like me, you actually went ahead and picked up 2, so you could display one as Hawkeye, one as Ronin, then have a spare Clint Barton head sculpt left over for your future purchase of a spare team suit Tony body. But nevertheless, the figure himself is fantastic. I love the head sculpt. The fact that you can have 2 completely different looks is just icing on the cake. Ooh, and I can hear the pitchforks being sharpened already, but yes, coming in at number 21 is Ant-Man from Ant-Man and the Wasp. Why is he higher than some other figures? Well, it's because he can go comfortably in your Ant-Man and the Wasp display, or he could go in your Endgame display, so he's a multi-purpose figure, but so too are some others. Well, this guy has a fantastic suit. It's pretty much flawless in my personal opinion. It looks just like it did on screen. Plus the awesome light up effect, the fact that you can see the eyes behind the helmet, he comes with great accessories. And yes, even though they missed the mark with the head sculpt, at the very least they tried something new, and we gotta give them credit for at least going out of their comfort zone and giving us the smiling head sculpt. Coming in at number 20, we have the Stealth Suit Spidey from Spider-Man Far From Home, aka of course, the Night Monkey suit. I personally really like this figure, while it does have one flaw being that the glasses, or I should say the goggles, look slightly too far apart. Everything else is spectacular, yes, pun intended. I love the material choice, including in the joints that are actually made out of a stretchy spandex. Plus, that Molten Man display base not only gives us another character for the shelf, but gives us something that lights up and is sculpted and painted exceptionally well. Next up, we have the Endgame version of Rocket Raccoon. This is actually my personal favourite Rocket Raccoon figure that's been released by Hot Toys. I love the outfit, the fact that he's got interchangeable scarves, he comes with a bunch of accessories, and he's extremely well sculpted and painted. Plus, who's going to argue? It's another Rocket Raccoon. The magnetic glasses is also a very nice touch. At number 18, we have Captain Marvel from her appearance in her solo movie, her debut, if you will. I love this figure. The suit itself is spot on to the practical suit that was used in the film, making it even more accurate to have a few wrinkles here and there. Plus the accessories including the energy effects and also the swap out mohawk to give that illuminated look, 2 head sculpts, Goose the Cat, and the additional jacket if you get the deluxe version. This is a pretty darn near spot on representation of Captain Marvel. Sitting at number 17 is the Endgame version of Nebula. The only reason she wasn't higher and not in the top 10, because if this was down to head sculpt alone, she would have comfortably taken a spot in the top 10, but unfortunately it's not. She doesn't come with the orange plate that goes on the side of her head, which in my opinion is a pretty darn integral part of the character, and seeing as though I don't think we're going to be getting another Nebula in this look, it's a bit of a missed opportunity. Also, the fact that the boots don't incorporate a split-cut boot design is once again another missed opportunity. Sitting at number 16, we have the Endgame version of Black Widow. My personal favourite Black Widow to date. The head sculpt is fantastic. They've made huge improvements in terms of the neck piece, so it's really soft, so you can get it looking really far down, but it still looks incredibly lifelike and realistic. Also, we finally have sculpted hair on a Black Widow figure. That, coupled with the fantastic suit and pretty basic accessories but key to the character, is why she's taking this spot. Coming in at number 15, we have director Krennic Ben Mendelsohn in 1/6 scale. I love this figure. He is truly one of my favourite Star Wars releases of 2020. He's got a fantastic outfit, plus a couple of interchangeable different looks, including a magnetic hat, and also he does come with some signature accessories. He's not a jam-packed release by any means, but he's still really darn awesome. Taking the 14th spot is the War Machine Mark VI, based off its appearance in Avengers Endgame. Now I know this is not everyone's favourite version of War Machine, but it may almost take that spot for me. He's huge and beefy and tank-like on the upper torso, but it slims down when you get to the legs. It has those hero proportions that I really do like. Also, it's super well sculpted and entirely newly sculpted, plus the paint applications are fantastic as well. The only reason it wasn't sitting higher on the list is because it doesn't really bring much new to the table. If this had come with a fully unhelmeted Don Cheadle head sculpt, like the one that's coming with the Iron Patriot, then potentially he would have sat a little bit higher. Coming in at number 13, we have the Spider-Man Ps4 2099 suit. This figure is a work of art. He's beautiful, he's a sight to behold. As soon as you open him up out of the box, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. He's a mismatch of different materials and patterns and effects, and it really does work quite nicely. Plus, the musculature on the suit is absolutely awesome. The only thing that's missing for some people is the web cape, but for me personally, I'm kind of glad he didn't come with it. Question for the viewing audience out there: how do you take an already awesome character such as the War Machine Mark III and make it even more badass? Well, simple. You give him an added Gatling gun, a Punisher paint job, and a brand new unhelmeted Punisher head sculpt from the mobile video game Future Fight. And that's exactly what they did. Plus, to boot, they gave us a bunch of effect pieces, which look absolutely stunning when you have him posed up on the shelf. Sitting at number 11, we have the solo movie version of Aquaman. This is my favourite design for Aquaman, and I was so incredibly excited when Hot Toys announced the figure. For me, it didn't disappoint. There were some changes since the original prototype that ruffled a few feathers, but definitely not mine. I was still enamored by the gold and green color scheme of the figure. In fact, the paint applications all around is why this guy is sitting this high on the list. Kicking off the top 10 at number 10 is Liam Neeson as Qui-Gon Jinn, with, as far as I can tell, an entirely new body, multiple different outfit options, a fantastic Liam Neeson head sculpt, and also a bunch of awesome accessories. I don't think anyone will argue that this was one of the best Star Wars releases of 2020, and honestly, I'm super glad we got him. Sitting at number 9, we have the Justice League Superman, a figure that kind of became a running joke. Hashtag where is Superman? Well, finally he came out, and in my opinion, he didn't disappoint. This is now my favourite Henry Cavill Superman figure, with a super punchy, vibrant suit, a chrome underbody that gives that metallic look like he had in the film, plus 2 interchangeable head sculpts. Coming in at number 8, we have the big, honkin' beefy boy, Venompool. Yeah, thick with at least 2 or 3 Cs. He is enormous, and honestly, I love this figure. I was taken completely by surprise. I was ready to hate this. As soon as I saw it at the conventions in person for the first time, I thought it looked atrocious. But Hot Toys, as they do, they deliver, and they delivered with this guy. He's got an entirely new body, a beautiful rubber sculpted bodysuit that also allows for fairly decent articulation without damaging the suit itself, plus, for good measure, a bunch of awesome accessories. Coming in at number 7, we have the Avengers Endgame Armored Thanos. By all means, a fantastic release. He's big, he's beefy, he's well sculpted, the paint applications are flawless, and those head sculpts are second to none. The only reason he's not sitting any higher on the list is because he comes with the wrong gauntlet. It's not supposed to be the Infinity Gauntlet here, we're supposed to be getting the Nano Gauntlet. Obviously, they did that to avoid spoilers, and it will later be rectified with the battle damage version, but that's why this guy is not sitting any higher. Coming in at number 6, and no, the irony is not lost on me as he is standing there, initiating Order 66, talking to the Emperor. Purely coincidental, I promise. A lot of people did ask me in my top 5 video why Commander Cody wasn't in it, and that's because he was only 1 away from being featured in the top 5. By all means, he is still fantastic. The paint applications on the armor, the head sculpt itself, and the sculpt work on the entire suit. is absolutely flawless. This is the best Commander Cody in any scale, and I personally cannot wait to get Rex and the rest of the clones. Taking the number 5 spot, and for those of you who have already seen my top 5 countdown for 2020, spoiler alert, you know who is in the top 5, but we have Gamora from her Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 appearance, and technically from her appearance in Avengers Infinity War as well, so she's another multi-purpose character. Also, they made a bunch of improvements since the last version of Gamora. They also did a marvelous job with the head sculpt, paint applications, and the interchangeable outfits. Honestly, this might just be one of the best Gamora collectibles in pretty much any scale. Coming in at number 4, we have Alita from the film Alita Battle Angel. This figure is pretty darn near close to being a perfect representation of the character in 1/6 scale. Having an entirely robotic body means that you can hide pretty much all of the joints and still get the maximum range of motion. This is a figure that if you want to pose and leave in awesome poses on the shelf, go for it, because she can do it and she won't get damaged because there is no delicate outfit over the top. Granted, she does come with an interchangeable outfit option, but I think most people will be displaying her as she comes just with the awesome robotic body. Taking the bronze spot, aka number 3, we have the Durasteel Mandalorian. This guy is literally a work of art. It's a lot of people's favorite Mandalorian figure, and I can tell why. It's chock full of detail, comes with some really awesome accessories, and the outfit design, oh my goodness, it tells a story. It doesn't even have to be doing anything. He can literally just be standing there, and the asymmetrical design of the armor, plus all of that dirt and grime over the top, really does steal the show. Coming in at number 2, we have the Iron Man Mark 85, the pinnacle of Iron Man figure engineering in my personal opinion. The way this guy is put together is second to none. If the other figures in Hot Toys lineup are their BMWs and Audis and Mercedes, this is their Lamborghini. It's, as I said, the pinnacle of figure engineering. He is pretty much flawless except for that one elephant in the room, being the Robert Downey Jr. head sculpt. I've actually come to not hate it as much as I did initially, but still, by all means, it's not perfect. I personally cannot wait to see what the battle damage version does look like. But still, the Mark 85 did enough right, in my opinion, to warrant him being number 2 on the list. Coming in at number 1, in first place, the Beskar Mandalorian. Of course, it had to be. Everyone had their eyes on this guy, and when he came out, he took the internet by storm. In fact, this is the only Star Wars figure to date to hit over 1 million views on my channel. That's how popular this particular figure is. So for those of you out there who are thinking, why on earth would this guy be so high on the list? Well, ask all of the viewing audience why he's that good, because he certainly is. A bunch of accessories, fantastic paint applications, and if you go for the deluxe version, you get not 1, but 2 different versions of Baby Grogu, so you can add one to your Durasteel Mando. Plus, some of the accessories can be used in conjunction with that original release, so it's not only a brilliant standalone figure, but it's a figure that can be used in conjunction with the original to make that one even better as well. And that's why this guy takes the number 1 spot. And there you have it, the Hot Toys of 2020 last to first list. Now granted, this is just my personal list, yours will 110% be different, so I'm curious, let me know down in the comments below what your top 5 picks were for the Hot Toys released in 2020. Stay tuned to the channel, the 2019 list will be coming up very soon, and then going forward we will be doing them each and every year. Let me know if you have enjoyed this video down in the comments below. Like, comment, and subscribe, and we'll catch you in the next video.